now to develop a growing recognition that tax fairness would suggest that, especially for companies that can engage in minimization strategies where they limit the amount of essentially taxable revenue in many countries, be a way to deal with that. And they've been trying. Even if we can't get an international solution, we're moving ahead anyway. And there's some pretty big risks in doing so. The U.S. has already threatened billions in tariff retaliations against a number of other countries, primarily the same thing. And so it's entirely possible, in fact, I think it's likely, that if we do move ahead with this starting next year, the U.S. will initiate a process to apply potentially billions in tariffs, or in fact, as much as we think we're going to get in new revenue against Canadian goods.
So it's like a digital war.
It becomes, it becomes in some ways a digital war, but one of the things that the U.S. will do, as many countries do, is try to make it as painful as possible. So, for example, when their plan for Italy, which is another country that has this, is to go after Italian handbags and Italian suit and eyewear and those kinds of things, the sorts of products they, of course, export a lot of, and they say up to a 25% tariff. When they think about Canada, they're not going to go after Canadian suits. They're going to go after dairy and steel and a range of sensitive economic areas where there will be real pain, and they're going to try to essentially make the point that if you target our companies, because everybody recognizes that this really is just targeting some U.S. companies, we're going to retaliate in turn, and we're going to do our best, in effect, to make sure that it has a real painful effect on the Canadian economy.
And the consequence of this, could it be this will deter foreign investment in the Canadian market?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that this, combined with some of the other government plans for these cross-subsidy models to pay for sharing of links or to help fund CanCon, and at the same time say that we want you paying these other taxes in certain situations, that's where I think the disincentives come from. I mean, essentially, government's moving to a heavy regulation, heavy tax jurisdiction.
Kevin's owner said the dog wandered off and got picked up by a truck driver. The dog became dehydrated, so the driver turned him over to an animal rescue service in Whitby, and they contacted the owner. Dog and owner will be reunited today with help from a volunteer organization. Well, still to come on 680 News, our top stories and a huge day for Toronto sports fans. The Jays, Leafs, Raps, and TFC all set to be in action.
This is 680 News.
I've got a craving for some McDonald's fries. Crispy, golden, hot.
So I don't know where security is, so thank God I don't need help. I can't blame her for having that reaction in this place. I'm going to go get security. No, that's good. Say it loud, and then maybe whoever the dipshit is bothering you, fuck off. No, because these people work hard in here. And my issue's not with that person. I don't know if the recording picked that up because the radio was on and I can't be bothered checking. But one of the, like the second or third thing is that I know it's, when I started talking, I know it's not you, the people paying you to do this, however I framed it, phrased it. Oh, so now what do I do? It's been 20 minutes. No, but that's enough time for the police to get like a call, and then it's not an emergency dispatch, and I'll leave, they'll show up, kick my fucking door in, I'll come back and have to pay for another fucking door, because that's how these fucking idiots run things. They don't want anything to run properly. They want everything fucked up.
Sorry, that was yeah. Sam, man, gotta fix up quick. The general. Are you dumb? Better who, when, where, never fix them. I let my dreads hang, put 12K where my teeth at. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have to fix.
So we're in the age where basically they can test your blood or some fluid on you and find all the, what they call it, messenger RNA, the mitochondria, all the different viruses your body's been exposed to, the antibodies it produces. And then figure out basically where you've been, so to speak, virologically. Virologically. Fucking crack this, so I don't want my fucking door open. Where's it going with this? So it's I know I'm not, because the coughing I keep claiming, you could say it's the cigarette, this particular matter in my lungs infiltrate. I'm used to coughing up clear fluid. There's gonna be crackheads at my fucking door. And then I have to shut it. I'm scared to go bang, bang, bang. So I know I'm being exposed to stuff. I guess you could call it asymptomatic, but all these things I'm pulling out of my fucking nose and mouth and shit. Crackheads up my butt now. Watch, I'm gonna complain that my door's propped open. It's not propped open. There's no door closer. That's the other thing I've got to fucking mention. There's no fucking door closer on my fucking door. That's considered essential. If they said we must put this on here, fire code says so, that's fine. If they say we have the right to paint the doors to all match, they can argue that, but we've already been through landlords and tenants shit that they can't just go after religious symbols and shit like that. Okay, I'll put it to you like this. A Christmas wreath. Oh, of course that's acceptable. But that weird crescent moon, I don't like that. Well, fuck you. I didn't even get to the point of putting that on there yet. Oh yeah, so what I was saying, well, I'm shedding live virus. I'm shedding something live. Well, even if we don't look sick, feel sick, whatever, we're gonna have to do this from here on out. We fucked up the atmosphere of the planet. This virus has gone through every fucking animal. And you know what? It likes humans. It likes humans. Just it didn't spread through civet cats the way it spread through humans. It didn't spread through bats the way it spread through humans. Bats are real close to how we live with the close. If we get closed in spaces and all spend too much time together, we spread fucking cold virus, coronaviruses like crazy. Look what happened. Somebody ate a bat. Here we are. And for this up here is to keep anything from hitting my face, my eyes, my hair. Touch your hair, then touch your face. And you're sick.
Dark mark booming in the 6. How you get? Yeah. Certain man got a future.
But the thing is, they might call them
The general.
well, they knew who I was, so they called us one.
When we're never I let my dread.
So if you call 311 or if you call a toll-free number, you cannot block your number.
And put 12K where my teeth at. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have to fix. I'm the shopper.
But for some reason, anytime I call 911, they want to spend 2 minutes interrogating who I am instead of telling me if an ambulance is coming or not.
Bitches used to laugh at the kid, and I want to see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming in 3D. Forrest Gump into the money, you looking like Bueller. If it's not for everybody, I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars, that was not where they were shooting. I go Bob the Builder for the fix up. If you acting funny, yeah.
Are you dumb?
Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me. Who can I trust? No, my mom's and I in a women's shelter. It was just.
Yep. They used to. So if you ever did, there's a period of time there. If you ever did call 911 for something like an ambulance, fire, or police, whatever, fucking, and then you got like weird calls back later, and you didn't connect the two incidents because you didn't recognize the number, it was just a spam call or something. They used to call back for various reasons from weird, so like they look like prepaid cell phone numbers, to be honest. Although technically there's no way to know for sure. Now, if they call you back, on the call display it says 911. That's a good idea because no one's gonna add, especially in the midst of some weird situation. Who the fuck is this? They're gonna immediately ignore it.
A man trying to come for the kid. I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? Backhand the back of your head. They tell you head back. They wanna let they sick in the head, but then we dead there. I'm trying to put a foreign on road and then we head there. Going down like Titanic is high. Find where our head at. Keep a young mind with me, that would make you say ooh. Or one to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my playboy bunny. I guess I'm huge. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS got a text, now your wife giving neck. Are you drunk? It's don't get close, it's don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you won't get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his bang. It's don't get close, it's don't get close, so we the Gang, hold up, be the hardest stop. Y'all but
both wrists and elbows. Pasta don't drive too fast, pass the rest of past the place. You get racing with much haste in this place.
I'll be bringing back the Holocaust. Hit 'em up, long distance, no contact. When I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me 'cause I'm back from the metal bar. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treat it like an acrobat, flip it and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they cheat, all they do is rap beat. Talking all that shit if it on Smack DVD.
Certain mans get crushed down rude and keep it hush. Certain mans get crushed down rude and keep it hush.
No matter who, when, where, never. Are you done?
Yeah, so I think I said I'm gonna go. I forget how I phrased it. We're gonna raise ruckus by not raising ruckus. Yeah, so eventually, I'm gonna finish this joint. We'll do what I gotta do outside. I'll give them half a chance. If the cops are coming, they're coming, right? I'll give them half a chance. If the cops are coming, they're coming. But I didn't do anything to make them come. I didn't do anything for this woman to run off screaming about security. And then I'm going to bounce out at some point, and if I come back at the door, it's painted, or it's not. But if they try to charge me for painting it after telling me they won't, and calling it graffiti, here's the issue. They've got, they give us notices, oh, this is graffiti. Under the city bylaw, you could get a ticket. Oh, no, I can't. If it was on the wall next to my door, you could say that, because just because it's the wall outside my apartment don't necessarily give me rights to it. Although it would be an interesting argument to make that you could decorate that part of the wall. But you can't have that in these high-rise buildings. There's a lot of things you can't do in these high-rise buildings. And mess with the light. So you can't have furniture, carpets and shit, all that shit you're not supposed to have. But anyway, there's a trip, slip and fall hazard, as well as a fire hazard, as well as a health hazard for bugs and shit. But never mind. These people's priorities are all fucked up. Now remember, when they call her to work, they got to pay her minimum 4 hours. If she shows up at work and they say, well, there's nothing for you to do, they still have to pay her 4 hours work. So how is it saving? Yeah, so that fucks them if for some reason the work doesn't get done. But they think they're going to build. I know what they're going to try to do, because they do these things. The other place I used to live, I'm the one person they didn't do this to, but everybody that move out, when they move out, the landlord will go in, smash the place up, take a bunch of pictures, and then sue them for like $5,000 or whatever it is at the landlord and tenant tribunal. I'm the one person he didn't do that to. Well, I would have come back. We've done a lot more than $5,000 damage. So in the fucking news, it says that there's under the, I forget which act it is to do with this public health shit. If you're purposely creating a situation that harms people or exposes them to danger or death, whatever, it's $1 million fine. $1 million fine. Well, I told her I was sick. And the only thing they could take is threatening. Like, and I didn't. Hey, fuck you! I got COVID. That's not what I did. I tried reaching. Like, there's no ventilation. I went step by step. Like, you can't be working with this here. That's just not legal. Without ventilation, I can't breathe because of it. I went step by step.
We the crazy shooters behind me. She's the white light, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, no nigga. We are what? Won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the Caribbeans got the shooters behind me. OG's the white light, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, nigga. We are what? No matter who it is, bound to get the job done. On the same shit, running with the same clip. Never gonna change, no nigga. Only change hoes and the cool, but only if it's fucking up. Play some aim and niggas above the button. I'm hard in the paint, no catch a fucking no. Repack the clip, that to get our shit up. Open up the hot shit. It's a stick up, never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. For the slums, little homie. When we play hard, if you don't wanna see the 30-30 when it sprays on. 20 people walk around 3/8 for the beat. The 40 to lick them down, the max for the beat. Heard niggas saying but they wanna make tracks with us. Before that, didn't even crack to us. Going hard in the booth, it's a takeover. Hard in the ground into your face, that's a makeover. Cool provide for a cue. Your rest block hustlers, mine say won't sleep till I knock it. And don't push me cause I ain't in the top yet. 12-year-old too, so I ain't scared if you got it. Y'all got it. It's just me you comparing to. I ain't finished my fair share yet, but I hear them just start. And I ain't talking about no jump shot, brush them off, don't top. You know the code on my tracks.
Oh, I don't want fucked up. I timed this all wrong. No, I don't want fucked up. I was planning on dealing with the phone before they got to the door first before the phone, and now I'm waiting for security to come. They didn't come. But I'm still smoking the joint. All right, okay.
Didn't think I was capable. 4-5 pints on my heart, isn't traceable. You niggas don't ride something like a flat tire. There's a fire at your back, it was a backfire. Cause I got the same size as a blow dryer. Never true in your raps, just some damn liars. Great job, make them spit through the wires. And you don't supply shit to a buyer. I'm the king of gang rap, call me sire. That's hate, but privately you rate and admire. Your rubber grip tight, no pliers. I gotta take you out, call it quits or retire. The fourth room down, fifth lift them up. Bells don't leave shells, so I'm switching up. Something like a bus driver still picking up. Got your hands in your pocket, nigga, stick them out. On the projects, money's no objects. So we finger fuck max and we contact. Slide in, slide out, cut where we rock.
I'm pleased to report that somehow the related videos to my videos are coming up different now. There's stuff about military stuff. What was it? Patrol, what did it say? Patrol base operations or something for infantrymen. And then the other one I just saw on my phone over there. No, I'm not watching it because I can't do that, right? You're going to watch me? You watch video? No, there's some about the Indian Defense Forces, whatever they call them, stepping in again. So with the Canadian forces, we didn't do the Canada First Defense strategy, so we don't have the people. A whole shitload of livestock, lots of wolves, no dogs.
Hey yo, I got rounds that you dumb clowns. You're standing up till I tell them sit down. Stomach on the ground, hands behind your back and your neck. When I'm digging in your pants, leave me that in your grip. All for the rest. He said, check the weed, leave the cash. What? I'ma do him dirty, mad max, do it. Niggas get back, bitches get smacked and get smacked face down when I'm breaking her back. Yo, we got metal like a rap, made a name in rap. I ain't sending it for track, never. Yo, I'ma need me a bag for that C-O-L-T. Carved in my rack, still unstolen. Stereo scratch on my actions. Stop the madness, I'm reeling up, get it gone. Mad shit, they can't go sleep like I don't got a mind. Yo, send your aim class. Didn't see Tom, now run up on them close. I ain't stolen gone, but I'm clear blood strong till it drops on my car. Till it tiny changes and no to me arms just dangerous. Sicker than stars, I ain't saying this, but I'm a whole star. I'll snap, crack, pop like Kellogg. I'll snap, run, duck, just hide when I let off. Run, man in the mask, man in the act, man with the strap to your man's vision black. With the phone dog and hot snap, OGs for YG, scroll clap, we clap. Do you come and try me? 70s and 90s, been moving grimy. Blood rush till it's hooked up to the ivy. 4-5 will stretch you, and they think it's drunk. Until they end up on a stretcher, better get a coffin. Yo, Critians, so we ain't in a no long talking. Money overflow, back on my bullshit. These pumps that I grew with, acting like they're too sick, too slow. Cash making me ever switch sides. Or rapper to the Jakes, almost get my crunch fried, huh? My mind's fried. See, I don't give a fuck. Stack it with a YG, guarantee he hit them up. Take a nigga slut, man, you know me. Never look back since my first pack in 03. Pack nigga, plus I get busy with these OGs screaming Southside, outside. All the police fucked up when I nipped 1.5 a beef. Snakes and cop chops, now you owe me 10 G's. Green till I go to sleep. Kill you for the ABK, the marksman, shoot for fun. What the fuck's a murder one? Bad news if you run into the DBS. All I do is give one nod, then he breathes the text. Then you breathe the tech. All I do is give one nod, then you breathe the tech. We were crazy and the shooters behind that.
Being reported today in Ontario as the premier calls for
Shit, I missed it. It's somewhere before the. I know I heard it before.
Ontario's Science Advisory Table is making suggestions about a reallocation plan for the COVID-19 vaccine, recommending it includes.
Yeah, in the midst of all this, why are you sending people door to fucking door
Ontario waiting on lowering the eligibility for AstraZeneca to
On top, every time I bitch about one thing with this place,
tip-off
it's
shortly.
a bunch of
Leafs
things.
Jets showdown tonight in Winnipeg. Sports at 45.
And coming up in business, Canadian
Your airplane is quite low, sir.
Navigate the Changes says there are signs of resilience.
680 News Time, 12:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Christine Langos.
Thank you, Caitlin. This report is brought to you by 407 ETR. I'm just looking at some crews here on the southbound 427 approaching Rathburn to approaching Burnhamthorpe, and the express is quite slow. And that's because it looks like we have some crews doing some work on the southbound 427 just approaching Burnhamthorpe in the express. It's actually in the Bullnose, just by the transfer that takes you to the collectors.
When they say Bullnose, I think of the corner of the fucking. Isn't that the thing in the wrestling ring? A turnbuckle. Bullnose.
From York Mills to Lawrence, not too bad overall. Southbound 404 is just slow through the Shepherd collectors to the 401 ramps. And don't forget that construction site.
Yeah, but tell us about. You need like a playback, something you can replay throughout the day. Tell us about the fridge and the haystack again. The haystack that apparently got hit by several people.
Programs and services. 407 ETR for the things that matter most. Your next report is at 12:41. Now with the
There's going to be good skiing weather tonight, and you can go suntanning in the morning. Watch out for that humidity in the afternoon, you'll get malaria.
Day across the GTA, some clouds also streaming in right
You can
now
get West
as well.
Nile fever in this country,
17, and
and die of
we'll drop down to
hypothermia.
about, 12 or 13 degrees this evening.
In the same
and then 8
month,
degrees
the same
overnight.
calendar
The
month.
clouds move in and keep us on the milder side as some showers will also develop.
It's September,
late this
October.
evening, and into the overnight, especially that window of time around 3 to 4 a.m. That's when some of those showers will get going and continue into.
They love making
early tomorrow
predictions for
morning.
when everybody's
It is
going to be
17
asleep.
at Pearson, 15 at 680 News. We've reached your guaranteed high of 17.
Fucking bad.
680 News Time, 12:33.
How do I get a COVID test?
From Peel region, where we're learning about two businesses.
I've just been presuming I'm sick or I've been exposed, and I'll just keep self-isolating. That's what I've been basically presuming.
Concerns swell in the province, but a new variant of COVID-19. We'll have more on that in a moment. First, 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with more on these new closures. Madison.
Alex, so far, two partial closures.
You see me getting
have been
close to
posted on
people.
Peel
There's a
Region's
reason,
website.
and
They
I keep it
are
to a
Amazon's
minimum
fulfillment center
in
at
terms of time
8050
and the number of
Heritage
people I
Road in
do that
Brampton,
with.
and another Amazon center at 1272 for Coleraine Drive in Bolton. The new order, which came into effect at midnight, requires businesses to close for at least 10 days if it sees 5 or more COVID-19 cases over a 14-day period. Now, these workers will have to self-isolate and are unable to work at other workplaces during the closure period, but both health units, Peel and Toronto, have been issued Section 22 orders. However, exceptions to this order include business is essential to the community, including healthcare, first responders, and childcare and education. Peel says closures will be updated daily, Monday to Friday, and whether or not the closures are full or partial. Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
Big Ten Ontario's premier sounding the alarm over the latest COVID-19 variant that has surfaced in the province. It comes as we see more than 4,000 cases reported for the second day in a row. Here's 680's Michelle Morton.
Ontario is seeing another 4,094 cases of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. Variants of concern make up 3,014 of those infections.
So 80,000 people in the last few weeks. Let's say 100,000 rounded up. Well, there was 3,000 before, 2,000 before that.
14. Ontario has seen 36 cases of what's being called a new variant of interest, which was first detected in India. Canada's top doctor, Dr. Teresa Tam,
I remember when our count was like 300,000.
Considered a variant of concern.
The fact that India had picked it up as maybe fueling in part outbreaks.
But this has the
How many days back would we have to go to add up 300,000? I got an app here that's a COVID tracker, but I think the people that run it got sick and died.
Earlier this week,
It don't work
strong
right.
enough. Ford says ICU capacity is stretched to the limits by the variant first detected in the UK and is concerned about a threat from this latest variant. I'm Michelle Morton.
This is 680 News. A report from Ontario's Science Advisory Table is recommending the Ford government to change how it's administering COVID-19 vaccines. 680's Enrique Amaturo with the details.
The advisory table is suggesting half of the province's vaccine supply goes to anyone 16 and older in communities hardest hit by COVID-19, while it suggests the other half be evenly distributed depending on someone's age. Dr. Peter Uni, director of the advisory table, tells the Toronto Star the reallocation plan would protect the 74 neighborhoods most affected by the virus, and as a result, the entire province. The panel, made up of scientists, doctors, and researchers, made the recommendations in a report published Friday. By redistributing half of the doses, researchers say infections, hospitalizations, ICU visits, and deaths would drop. I'm Enrique Amaturo. Ontario and a number of other provinces say they're holding back on expanding eligibility for the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Yeah, so it's not oil-based paint. I think I said that pretty loud. I don't care if it's... I'm not asking if it's a water or oil-based paint. You're missing the point.
The panel had originally suggested the shot only be used in patients at 55 and older because of a slight risk of rare blood clots. But Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC have since started administering it to people over 40, while Quebec is offering the shot to those over 45.
A slight risk of blood clots, a risk of rare blood, a slight risk of rare blood clots.
From all sources by the end of June. From the Canadian Press, I'm Lori Paris.
680 News Time, 12:37. After the little blast of winter we had last week, we rerounded yesterday across the GTA.
Dude, it's this week still.
Hitting 18 degrees downtown and at Pearson. 680 weather specialist.
Oh, I get it. All the working people on
this
the
weekend is kicking off with some sun and a chance of rain later tonight.
Today's guaranteed high is 17, and we are starting off this Saturday with some sunshine. Then we'll start to see a bit of clouds build through the afternoon. We have a chance of some showers through the overnight and into Sunday morning. It does look like we'll have a bit of wet weather, and then a mix of sun and cloud.
Tomorrow's temperatures will be cool and below seasonal, highs around 11 or 12 degrees.
680 News Time, 12:37. Despite emergency orders to close, multiple private schools in the Bathurst and Lawrence area appear to remain open to students.
So, what I just had to call, I don't really have to, but the phone call I just made and all that, the next last video, what's the
wearing backpacks were heading home as cars were lined up down the street for pickups.
And the media and the public says, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Anonymous also came to City News, worried about what he's been witnessing.
What is this?
People directing the traffic for everybody to go in and out. So a lot of kids are all the blinds are shut, but if you go close enough, you can see all the kids sitting down on their desks. So it looks like they're being
Where did that come from? Where did I bang into?
Calls to the schools. Can I just ask you, is the school open?
Are we open? We're open for prayers.
But that's no more than does. You see, everybody wants to do the minimum and then do another shortcut. Oh, technically, if we say this, it'll mean this and that. The virus doesn't care. So they argue about what the rules should be. But if you don't follow any of the rules, it's a moot. It's moot because for several reasons, but it's moot. So.
Just under half an hour. TSC taking
what did I say? We're going to go next to sport. Weather. They did the weather a second time before telling us about the schools.
On the ice a little bit later. The Maple Leafs look to make it 2 straight wins against the Winnipeg Jets this evening. Here's Sportsnet.
Let's pause and reflect. Okay, what has happened here? We've got several things going on. By the way, there's something wrong with the sizing here. No, I know because it should be. It should always be 3 and 4 and 3, like 10. It should always be. No, I got to do 4 and 3 and 4. You fucked up my pattern here. Everybody wants to do the bare minimum and then take a shortcut, and then all these people. It's not every. The 90% of people are trying. They're trying. They don't fucking know about. If you walked up to these people 2 years ago and asked them about viruses, and they didn't know the right answer, and you tried to make fun of them, buddy, I'm this, I do that. I'm not a doctor. Why you they think you're fucking ridiculous. They're trying, but. Then, okay, so the school says we're open for whatever different purpose. So you still have a gathering going on that you shouldn't have going on. But these people will argue that this rule shouldn't be this way now, but then they don't follow the rule anyway. So what's the fucking difference of like why? If you break the bare minimum rules, then even the government doesn't know what to do because there's the rule they put out. When I say government, I mean public health authority, whoever it may be. Whoever in your circle of people is the one that knows the most about how to keep this shit under control, says don't do this or that, and you don't like the rule, so you just break it, you say, oh, that rule didn't work, and that's why we shouldn't have that rule. That doesn't make sense. That's you breaking the damn rule. The crematoriums in India are backed up. So there was what, an earthquake, tsunami, storm, tornado, cyclone thing. We've been hearing for 2-3 years now about all these places where they have to rent refrigerated trucks to stack bodies up in. In 2019, 2 interesting things they told us about was they were looking for a company to start testing the sewage in Ottawa for drugs. And I don't know if it's the same company. I think they had selected a company at the time. I can't remember, but now they're testing for COVID. That's another story they don't repeat. They're testing the Ottawa sewage for COVID, so they'll know if the real numbers approximately match the people getting tested. Because if people know they're sick and just go, fuck it, I won't get tested, then again, they don't know what they're working with. And the other interesting story out of Ottawa, they're testing for drugs and COVID, and also so they told us they found COVID in frozen sewage samples. Just, you have to say frozen or people, no, it's frozen, don't worry, don't keep it in like room temperature out in the open. There's a bucket of it right there. The frozen sewage samples from March 2019 from Spain, they found COVID. March, not December in China, March. And was it Spain? Yeah, Spain. That's what they said. They said lots of things, and when they only say it once, it makes me highly suspect why they only say it once. The other interesting story out of Ottawa, if you want, your remains can be disposed of by being... I'm not sure what that is. A motorcycle? Yeah, it's the throttle response. Sounds pretty quick. I'm not sure what that is, but that vehicle sounds happy. So if you want, your remains can be disposed of by being dissolved and flushed down the sanitary drain, like flushed down the drain, like literally down the drain. And I don't know how Ottawa's sewage system is set up or their water, any of that shit, because I don't live there. So all I'll say is you're downstream from Toronto. So, and we're downstream from like Michigan and Ohio and shit. 3 Mile Island. There's a nuclear facility on the other side of the lake too. There's several. They vented. Oh, it's funny how they phrase things. They vented 60,000 liters and 70,000 liters of it's called deuterium, tritium. No, tritium's the glow in the dark shit. Deuterium from, there's a reactor up this way. There's a reactor up that way. Into the lake. They consider this normal discharge. So 130,000 liters. So 130 tons, and a metric ton, it would be about 10%. Would it not be about 10%? What they call it, a long ton? 130 tons of water was radioactive into our lake where we drink the water from, and they consider that normal or acceptable. They consider it a normal thing. It's acceptable. There was like outrage, quote unquote outrage, because of it, and no one says anything. I'm not worn out or overloaded. It's just I could try a dozen or 2 dozen stations I try to tune in, and half of them aren't working. And the other ones are they're focusing on things that aren't going to. They tell us there's no way for us to vaccinate fast enough to outpace the variants. Okay. They tell us they just purchased 65 million, although I also saw 35 million on a different headline, but they said 65 million booster shots. We've contracted a virus. We've contracted to purchase, enough booster shots to give everybody in Canada 2 of them, basically. You've got enough doses of vaccine on order to vaccinate everybody. It's 5 or 6 times. I think it's 6 times by now. I think it was 5, but they've added millions more doses, and I can't keep up with what they're telling us, but I think it's 6 times. I could get 6 times over. That's the Johnson & Johnson's just 1, and the other ones, that'd be 10 fucking doses. I can go every fucking month for the next year and then get my booster in 2022 and 2023. On paper, on the Canadian government paper, we're going to do this because we're going to pay you. And I guarantee they gave the money already. They must have. They always do shit like this. They let the white boys set up the drug deal. Canadian Forces is not releasing their COVID numbers because they're adversaries. I like that word, adversaries. I think that's the one they use. Might use the information, which means the terrorism, domestic terrorism, violent people, all sorts of things. The FBI told us a year ago that there was chatter or whatever. That these people talk loud. Hate groups, they talk loud about what they're gonna do, because that's part of the whole thing. If they talk loud and then do it and quote unquote get away with it, then that's just part of the whole mystique's not the word. Their spell, their black, their recipe. There we go. Their recipe of genocide and hate and all this shit. They told us that there were plans to. I think they said they were going to use spray bottles with bodily. They did say that. Spray bottles with bodily fluids to try to infect whatever minority group they hate, and it's not always a minority, by the way. Sometimes there's more of them than you, and you're just hateful. It's not them that's different. In their view, you're different. But they came here to learn about that. So they're still good and you're bad because you want to hurt people. They would hate groups were going to try to attack people by spraying COVID at them, essentially. And we see them shoot up churches and mosques and all the rest of this shit. So we know they would do that. Oh, it's just a spray. But mentally, it's easier to spray a bottle of a liquid at somebody. There's always this deniability. I would turn the news back on, but they're still on sports. If they're on time at all, they're on sports. You love sports, great. I want to hear the tractor pull results. I want to hear NHRA. I want to hear just everything, but they don't give us that. I have to listen to an English station to get news. I have to listen to like the weird. It's almost like CBC because they're like related companies to hear anything in French. If I want to hear about Canada, I got to listen to China. If I want to hear about China, I got to listen to Canada and Britain. Can't listen to the U.S. because they make wild allegations and they don't never get to the point of what their evidence is. China has a campaign of this and that. Okay, you say that because why? Well, they do. Okay, well, thank you for that information. Whatever the American station's name is. None of this is my fault, except that I said this is going to be. I wonder how many other people have said that when they heard that. I wonder how many other people remember hearing the Public Health Agency of Canada is on the ground in Wuhan, China. So I want to make the joint bigger, but at the same point, I'm already kind of high, so I don't know. Oh. How long does it take the police to show up on a non-emergency call in COVID times? COVID war time. Oh, shit, that kind of has a ring to it. It is 1649 COVID war time. There we go. Ooh, that has a, ooh, that's, I don't like the sound of that. I mean, I do, but I don't like what it means. COVID war time. Everybody's saying we're at war, we're at war, we're at war. But the problem is they're only giving you half of the reference. Like, most people, if they think of an entertainment reference, then what's the movies always about? Shooting things up and blowing shit up, and it's not that simple in real life. What do you do if the municipal water shuts off? What do you do if there's a hole in the ground and nobody comes to fix it? And crackheads keep stealing the pylons in the middle of the night because they're crackheads. What do you do? Who call who? 311, police, whatever. You just you put more work on their schedule to slow things down more for the next. If there would be a school of thought that would say somebody should have been calling 311 this whole time about the gutters not being cleaned. But nobody knew about that contract until like 2 days ago. I post that one. That's a different link. So if you follow along, you'll have seen this link somewhere. The city awarded a $339,000 contract. Yeah, it's Canadian dollars. It's still $339,000 fucking dollars to run street sweepers up and down certain parts of the city and certain roads. And the company that got the contract doesn't even own street sweepers apparently, or they don't own. So because the nature of the way this information is kind of hidden, how they have to dig for it. That when they write these stories, they sort of have to throw the information they have at us in a creative way, so we can. So somebody said they should have had about 12 street sweepers to do this job, and they did not have 12 street sweepers. As for what they do have, it does not say. Like, for all we know, they have 11 street sweepers, and they just haven't, like, I have no fucking idea because that wasn't in the article. And I know the way the media here works, if that part's not in the article, they couldn't get an answer either. You've seen me spend 20 fucking minutes on the phone to get no, yeah, 20. I'm not upset about 20 minutes. CRA. Those screenshots are real. Those screenshots are real. The 1-800 what is it, 959 whatever. The CRA phone number, 4.5 hours. Oh yeah. That's first world problems. Our phone system is so reliable you can sit on hold for 4.5 hours. So that's why I know it's fucking real. Like the government phone system, the federal system will keep you on hold. You call up like the welfare office or your doctor's office, and the secretary accidentally hits line 2 instead of line 3, and you're gone. Our system's reliable enough that you can sit for 4.5. I'm gonna tell you this: if everybody at the CRA just dropped dead, you'd have to hello. If those people hung up and did the other calls as they got forwarded through the queue, nobody'd be answering them. People would still be sitting on hold. They would just keep the line would never disconnect. Oh shit! We ran past the.
On Sunday night, and then 11 for Monday and Sunday and cloud
we ran
mix.
past the
And then we have a chance for
post
some showers.
What do I call that one? The elbow or the armpit of the hour? The top and bottom of the hour.
Rain to move in Tuesday evening, and then
What
it
is that?
Really, really wet and damp for Wednesday and Thursday as we close out the month of April. Right now, it is 17.
It looks like if you're a gardener, you'll be like, that looks like phosphorus or nitrogen or whatever the fuck.
Coming up at 1 o'clock. 2 businesses partially
this
shut
here
down
sort of
and sealed
stank.
under
What
new
is
Section
this? That's
22
new
public
shit.
health orders. It comes as the premier expresses concern
By the way,
about the newest variant of COVID-19, calling on the feds for tougher border restrictions. We'll have those stories and more ahead at 1 o'clock. This is 680 News.
I'm gonna get up and shut that door. It's only open this wide. When I sit down.
Better than being reactive. Dynamic Funds doesn't just take what the market gives. Ask a financial advisor.
I'm gonna shut that door. Yeah, so theoretically the sports is 2 minutes from 45 to 47 minutes on the clock. And just every hour the same thing over and over. Sometimes so the traffic and weather, they're sort of variable, but they tend to be 2 minutes. Right about now they have the option of running some sort of fucking teaser or a commercial. And then at 54 minutes they might run a teaser or a commercial, and then they'll run 2 minutes straight of commercials, and the fucking commercial they call the business report. Watch. I got it clocked in my head. I've been doing this for years.
News is always changing. Now more than ever.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day.
54 on my clock. So it might go off by like 30 seconds sometimes, but that's radio.
680 News time, 12:54. 680 News is breaking down all of this year's Best Picture nominees at the 93rd Academy Awards. 680's Mitch Burke.
The armpit of the hour.
Film based on a pivotal
Oh yeah, this
moment
okay.
of
So the entertainment industry was shut down for a year, right? Okay. So
1968.
That was
I hate
another
this
year
part.
rocked by political violence, with both MLK and RFK assassinated. And it would all come to a head in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention.
We want to underscore
well, security didn't come here.
Peacefully, but whether we're
and I'll put it to you like this: a couple times he said anything to me, like when situations look like they're about to go. I'm the one seen walking away from people.
A riot there, and the infamous court case that followed.
This is what revolution looks like, real revolution. We may have to hurt somebody's feelings.
Though deviating at times from the facts of the matter.
Let a motherfucker step on you 5 times.
The Trial of the Chicago 7 is a powerful film about government corruption and the lasting power of democracy. Even when
I'm thinking of the two, Satchel and Vanzetti or something. That's the wrong hero. Is it?
2021, anyone? I'm Mitch Burke.
680 News will be covering the entire ceremony live Sunday, April 25th, beginning at 8 o'clock.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Thank you. You could.
April 28th is National Day of Mourning. It commemorates workers killed or
injured on the job.
Too. Frontline workers have been our lifeline through this pandemic. Let's not abandon them when this crisis is over. They need guaranteed access to proper PPE, extra staff, and fair wages. They need expanded sick leave. Frontline heroes put their lives on the line to keep us and our loved ones safe. They deserve to be safe at work and treated with respect. This message was brought to you by LaUna Local 3000.
What does it feel like to play Lotto 649?
We're going to do like a risk assessment. I know I'm being exposed to other people's droplets because every time I step through a common area in this fucking place, the air is dead because it's dead air. It's not moving. And these people hang out all fucking day if they can. Fucking they're all treating it like a little game. Like, look at me, I'm not wearing my mask and nobody's saying anything. Like they keep doing things like where they seem to think it's other people telling them what to do. It's not. These rules, you follow them or don't. It's you that'll get sick. Or what actually will happen is somebody around you may most likely be the one. Because if you're breaking the rules around people that you're trying to like get sick, you're gonna do the same thing and make other people sick. This is fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Oh, we could send some important government messaging.
Really trying to utilize delivery and delivery in-house delivery versus just leveraging Uber Eats.
We need milkman doors.
Curbside pickup and changing what curbside pickup looks like, trying to get the payment devices.
You really know what I'm talking about. A lot of houses in Toronto have them. They're from the right era.
Having people use QR codes to order and check out
directly
from their vehicle. Ultimately, all of these restaurants are being forced to move to cashless. We've seen a huge uptick in restaurants.
There was a restaurant that advertised, well, not advertised, they said it's advertising. They're washing the money. They do. Drug dealers do the same thing. You may not realize that.
23% of restaurants in Alberta, 27% of restaurants are cashless.
Squeegee kids used to throw the money into the bucket of water.
You've seen a lot of resilience.
They're doing what it takes to survive and come out the other end of this
That's why those coins are so clean in Canada.
We're seeing them really stretch and find interesting ways.
We're always concerned that Winston Churchill might walk up to us and inspect our Canadianness.
And you also say there is hope.
So we know patio season is coming.
Trudeau will be there.
One, hang in there.
John Candy and Alex Trebek.
Think about how you can maximize this next season by moving digital, expanding your patios. Thinking about delivery, thinking about
and
your
George Carlin will be there laughing
ordering,
at us.
Whatever it takes to get those customers through the door.
Carissa Mera is with Square. And at the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
The Chesterfield Show. Hi, Steve here. Always, but especially during these uneven times, our homes
believe
have
what
become
you
our
want.
castle, and I have a few.
That landed on the top of a book.
To tell you why.
I don't have one exactly handy. Exactly like that.
With my family and soon our friends.
Bob here.
Even if it was still lit, I would have had time to fucking grab it. That is insane.
Exercise when the time comes.
By the way,
socialize.
I am Vanessa.
That's what makes fire so fucking dangerous. You can sit and burn and smolder for a while.
Sports and video games on my TV and my comfy surroundings.
I'm Aya, and I'm a sales rep in Mississauga. Our family cooks and enjoys the togetherness of our home. I'm lucky that way.
And I'm Ted. She and I love the escape and safe harbor of our home and cottage. Our new company.
So how come we can't program our shit to use anybody's voice?
Well, we're closed.
It should be easy to do that.
Is home better than the Chesterfield shop.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Hickory Dickory Decks. Celebrating over 30 years of custom decks and happy customers, Hickory Dickory Decks offers the widest selection of road maintenance decking. Enjoy life outdoors. Visit decks.ca. In Oakville, 17 degrees, a few clouds. Downtown Toronto, 15, a few clouds, 17 at Pearson. 680 News time, 1 o'clock.
That was
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic,
8 seconds before it actually hit. That's all right.
is 680 News.
8 seconds keeps coming up.
Saturday, April 24th. Good afternoon. I'm Alex Bloomfield.
And I'm Caitlin Lee. Here's what's making news this hour.
2 Amazon warehouses in Peel region are the first businesses to be partially shut down under the Section 22 order, which allows health units to enforce a closure for at least 10 days. For a second day in a row, more than 4,000 cases of COVID-19 are being reported in Ontario as a new variant of interest prompts the province to sound the alarm.
Ontario's Science Advisory Table is making suggestions about a reallocation plan for the COVID-19 vaccine, recommending it includes people 16 and older in hardest-hit communities.
And India sets another grim world record for COVID-19 cases reported in a single day.
It's a busy day in Toronto sports. The Raptors leaves Blue Jays and Toronto FC all in action. Sports at 15.
And coming up in business, after the big pandemic-influenced federal budget revealed this past week, I speak to an analyst about some of its hits and misses.
680 News Time, 101.
Traffic and weather together on the ones with Christine Lagos.
This report is brought to you by Lexus of Richmond Hill. I'm just hearing that northbound West Mall ramp to eastbound QEW, it's blocked because of a collision. Emergency crews are on scene, just trying to get a visual on it right now. And I'm also having a look at the northbound John Valley Parkway. It's one of our busier routes, not terrible, but it is busy from Winford off and on up towards York Mills. The 401 is doing well across the GTA, and so far so good if you're traveling on the Gardner Expressway in the Lakeshore along the south end of the city. It's going to say the QEW, but we do have that one problem. In Vaughan, don't forget northbound Islington and westbound Major Mackenzie down to a single lane for construction. And also we have this construction set up on the eastbound 407 east of Martin Grove in the 4 left lanes. Lease a 2021 NX300 F-Sport Series 1 from Lexus of Richmond Hill and receive a $3,000 F-Sport credit. Details at lexusofrichmondhill.com. Your next report is at 1:11. Now with the forecast, here is Carl Lamb.
Well, we've got some of those thin clouds moving into the GTA, and some of those clouds are going to increase as we head into the afternoon, but definitely as we head into the evening. So
they never tell you what type of
again,
clouds.
Cloudier by the evening. Temperatures
I used to know them directly. I recognize the different types of clouds, but I can't remember the names off the top of my head.
With those clouds
I know how to sail and canoe solo.
More this evening, we do have the chance for some rain showers, especially during the overnight. Well, many of us are sleeping, and then temperatures will rebound tomorrow only up to 12 degrees. Right now, it is 17 at Pearson, 15 at 680 News. We've reached your guaranteed
confuses all the plants.
680 News.
The animals are used to it, but the plants get confused.
The first 2 casualties of a new crackdown on workplace outbreaks in Peel region have been announced, both involving the world's largest online retailer.
There's flower bulbs planted already that won't grow till like the end of summer now because they're convinced winter hasn't ended.
Caitlin, the new order.
And there's other plants that'll come up when it's still snowing.
Requires businesses to close for
against
at least
all
10
odds.
days if it sees 5 or more COVID-19 cases over a 14-day period. So far, 2 partial closures have been posted on Peel Region's website. They are Amazon's fulfillment center at 8050 Heritage Road in Brampton and another Amazon center at 12724 Coleraine Drive in Bolton. The partial closure applies to a mass dismissal of a shift or work area, while a full closure under the order would apply to the entire workplace. Now, these workers will have to self-isolate and are unable to work at other workplaces during the closure period. Both health units in Peel and Toronto are said to have issued Section 22 orders. Peel says closures will be updated on a daily basis Monday to Friday, but case numbers per business will not be permitted. Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
680 News Time 104. The Premier is calling for tougher border restrictions in light of a new variant surfacing in the province. 680's Michelle Morton has more on the latest statement from Doug Ford and today's COVID-19 data.
The province is reporting 4,094 cases of COVID-19 today. Variants of concern make up 3,014 of that number. A new variant of interest has emerged in the province. It was first detected in India. Canada's top doctor, Dr. Theresa Tam, says this variant, though, is not considered a variant of concern.
We are going to monitor this, but it's only just triggered right now in terms of an interest globally.
But the 36 cases detected in Ontario prompted the Premier to call on the feds for tougher border restrictions, banning all non-essential travel to Canada. Doug Ford says because ICU capacities are stretched to the limit by the variant first detected in the UK, he's concerned about the threat from this new variant. Ford says the new border measures announced a few days ago came too late and don't do nearly enough to protect Canadians. I'm Michelle Morton.
680 News Time 105. This concern over that variant first identified in India here at home. India has set a global single-day new case record for a third straight day, reporting 346,786 new COVID-19 infections.
I'm going to go shut that door. And I swear, it's going to, I'll turn around.
Shortages of beds
and oxygen
supplies.
I won't hear nothing. When I sit down.
People have died in the past 24 hours, leading critics to blame the government there for allowing super spreader events in recent weeks, including religious festivals and election rallies.
680 News Time 106. The province's Science Advisory Table is once again issuing a critique of Ford government policy, now calling for an overhaul of the vaccine rollout. 680's Enrique Amaturo reports.
The advisory table is recommending 50% of Ontario's vaccine supply is given to anyone 16 and older in 74 neighborhoods hardest hit by COVID-19, while the report suggests the other half of supply be equally distributed across Ontario depending on someone's age. Dr. Peter Uni, the director of the advisory table, tells the Toronto Star the reallocation plan would not only protect communities most affected by the virus, but also the entire province. Dr. Uni adds the plan would be most effective in collaboration with community groups and leaders in these neighborhoods. The panel, made up of scientists, doctors, and researchers, made the recommendations in a report published Friday. It notes that if the province accepts the recommendations from researchers, overall infections, hospitalizations, ICU rates, and deaths would decrease. I'm Enrique Amaturo.
680 News Time 107. Happening now, a fun day for Toronto sports fans. Getting underway on Sportsnet 1. The Raptors taking on the Knicks. Tip-off just moments away. You can carve out a groove on your couch this afternoon because the Raptors game, before it ends, TFC will kick off against Vancouver in its second regular season game of the season. Shortly after 6 this evening, first pitch flies between the Jays and Rays. And then an important matchup on Hockey Night.
Jesus Christ. So 7 minutes past the hour, they repeated the weather last time. Now and then, wow, this is the news for the day. That's what they're going to feed us all day. What are you having for lunch? That. Dinner? That. Leftovers tomorrow? That.
That's screaming great value right now? No. So there.
Something about something anybody's experienced. I don't know. Oh, that sounds horrible.
Beginning with our first guest, Dr. Clifford Liebrack, who's a fertility doctor and the founder and director of the Create Fertility Center in Toronto. Later on in the program, we will meet the founder and CEO of Canadian Fertility Consulting, and that's Leah Swanberg, who is not only a surrogacy matchmaker, as it were, but she has actually been a surrogate 2 times, along with being an egg donor 6 times. We'll speak to her later.
Yeah, how much are those worth? 15 grand or something? Fuck. Oh, that's illegal in Canada too. That's helpful. We don't like that, so we'll just make it illegal. There used to be a bunch of life sciences companies. Now there's one. I don't know how many there are now. I guess they started making more of them. They made it illegal to pay somebody for donating zygotes. Just like they won't pay us for blood, and if they don't get enough blood from within Canada, they get it from the U.S. where they pay American inmates to donate. So in my mind, Let those guys get the money. Although I'm thinking maybe a quick way to get proper diet, like blood testing and stuff, might be to try to donate blood. I'm gonna have to like prepare for their quiz. They got a whole quiz of questions you're not expecting.
Practice of REI in Canada, and Dr. Liebrecht is also the past president of the Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society, that's CFAS. And Dr. Liebrecht is also a leader in the field of reproductive biology research from a clinical.
I don't understand. I'm late as fuck to do stuff. I gotta smoke this joint. I really want to hear this conversation, but I think the second part of that interview will be better than the first. I think. Oh, okay. It's just about. We own Clearwater. We should start a life sciences company, do our own DNA testing and all that shit. Sick cell.
So don't sleep, no nigga, we all what, won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. The Koreans got the shooters behind that OG's the white necessity to 90. So don't sleep, nigga, we all what, no matter who it is, bound to get the job done.
So I don't know if it's at the beginning or the end. Yeah, it's at the end. I already skipped it. So but you already got me in the mood of the beat. So here we go.
Yes, nigga. Rotate.
Or I'll skip it in.
Slim. We all don't get close, nigga. We the Koreans got the shooters behind me. OG's the white necessities in 990. So don't sleep, no nigga, we all what, won't matter.
There's certain elements of racism and prejudice that like either I don't know if they transcend race, but they transcend looks. I'm calling security. I'm calling the police. I've already called the police. I've heard all this over and over. I've heard it so many times. I heard it so many times I do that when I talk about it. If it was about being young, how young do I look at this point? And I didn't always just like this is sort of an adaptation to the times. Things change over the years. I don't rock a rag no more, but I'm still.
Who it is, bound to get the job done. Koreans got the shooters behind. OG's the white necessity to 990. So don't sleep, nigga, we all what, no matter who it is, bound to get the job done. On the same shit, with the same clip.
This shit here isn't to impress the civilians. Oh, he's not. That's not the point, because in Canada it wouldn't look like this. So anybody that knew what it meant, if they saw it for what it was, they wouldn't think I was Canadian military. This is for the crackheads and shit that seem to think I'm a fucking undercover cop. I don't give a fuck. Did you get arrested because of me? You're here still doing the same thing? You think I was watching you? I wasn't. You must have just done something. Did the cops show up? No? Then what the fuck are you talking about? The old people just know that this means you're supposed to stop people from hurting them. That's what it's supposed to. You kill Nazis and you stop people from killing each other. That's what it's supposed to mean. And then, so prison jumpsuit, sure. It's prison labor. That can mean lots of things. I'm supposed to throw it out and burn it. And why? Somebody had to make this shit. Somebody had to grow this shit. I'm not sure if it's. I think it's cotton. It doesn't seem synthetic. It doesn't ignite easily. The burn holes on it don't make sense because they're all in the back somehow. Like I don't know if I sat down. I don't know if somebody flicked something. That's a possibility. I got a burn mark on my jacket. I got a couple of them on my jacket like that. But where I was going was you see guys in orange prison jumpsuits at the side of the road, kicking up garbage or collecting the like it looks like they're trying to clean stuff up. Even if you only think of it from a movie or something, you say, hey, what is he on work release or something? Maybe he just got out and he's got a bad conscience and he's trying to fucking clean up in the community. But no, he's got to be some type of undercover cop. I got all these. So these people are fucking dead and shit now anyway. But back up your talk, buddy. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like talk. What talk? Like what? When did I speak to you? And people will do that to try to participate. So they'll talk real. So people will do things like they'll start talking normal, then get real quiet. So you'll come closer. Then they'll talk real loud, like, "Oh, I'll defend myself this time." Excuse me. Okay, so that they could get people looking up, and they really believe that every single time the cops will just show up and do what they tell them to because they tell them to. It doesn't always work out like that. You know what? I'm gonna stop talking. It's a waste of weed.
Change homes and the cool, but only if it's fucking up. Play some aim and niggas above the button. Hard in the paint, no catch a fucking up. Repack and flip that to get our shit up. Only other hot shit is a stick up. Never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. From the slums, little homie, where we play hard. You don't wanna see the 30-30 when it sprays off. 20 people walk around 3/8 with a beat.
I get horrible skits in my head. What if the urban ninja comes across? Remember, in this city, we get reports of a guy with a, what was it? An axe, like a battle axe or something. Call for a guy with not one sword. No, imagine this, not one sword, but 2 swords. No, imagine a guy, you can carry a sword. If people can see it, then it's not a concealed weapon, but it will probably be considered a weapon. It's not a concealed weapon. You can have a sword because everybody could see it. And if they got a problem with it, they'll stay away from it, right? A guy with 2 swords. Oh, so imagine a guy pulls out a sword on you and you go, oh. Then you pull out your sword, and then he pulls out a second sword and you go, oh shit. Fucking Toronto, man. This shit is fucking random. Random city. I know there's places with worse crime, worse things happen, whatever. I'm not trying to say, oh, it's way worse. Okay, 10 people got killed and I think 16 more injured from some idiot deciding to ride a van up and down the sidewalk looking for people to run down. That could happen anywhere, by the way. The reasoning, like first world problems that don't deserve sympathy. And he tried to hide behind, oh, he's autistic. He's not autistic. I don't believe he's autistic. He showed too much pre-planning and complete lack of empathy. Autistic people don't lack empathy. My understanding is one way it can express is not interpreting it the same way most of us do, or not expressing it the same way most of us do. But autistic people don't go sociopathic. That's not the same thing. I'll get to right here and bang, Toronto police. It'll be, no, because normally the police show up fast, right? I swear to God. Okay, so 2021. They're talking about Martin Luther King and Robert, whatever the F stands to. There's so many F names. Ferdinand, Peter, whatever. Kennedy getting killed. 2021. I'm on charges right now. One of the allegations, how this incident went down. I hit a bunch of buttons on the elevator. Why? Because these people keep trying to rush me off the elevator, knowing I'll just get off. So it's a little game to them to wait till the last second, over and fucking over. Look, dang, I hit a bunch of the buttons. I hear some name, I don't remember. Blah, 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 call the police. He pressed the elevator buttons. And the fucking cops came and knocked on my fucking door and arrested me. Think about that. 2021, well, that was 2020. These cases started in 2019, but so people from around the neighborhoods here would know what I'm talking about. Like your case ends, and it's a matter of time till they start another one, and they try and always stack them up.
Shorty fiending that I might just had a fix. I'm the shopper's drug mart booming in the 6. How you get it out the mud? Community housing. North side of the rest places you weren't allowed in. Bitches used to laugh at the kid, not wanna see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming and see me. Forrest Gump to the money, you looking like Bueller. Where you fit is not for everybody. I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars. That was that way they were shooting. I go pop the builder for the fix up if you acting funny. Yeah. Are you dumb? Certain men get crushed on road and keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me. Can I trust? My mom's denying no women's shelter. It was just us. A man trying to comfort a kid. I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? Backhand the back of your head. They tell you head back. They wanna let they sick in the head, but then we get that. Tryna put a foreign on road and then we head that. Going down like Titanic is how I found where her head at. Keep a young mind with me that will make you say ooh. Or one to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my playboy bunny, I guess I'm you. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS, got a text, now your wife giving neck. Are you drunk? It's don't get close, this don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you will get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his fangs. It's don't get close, this don't get close, so we the gang. Grown dog, be the hardest stone, y'all butterscotch. Block party turning up, till the dogs locked it up. All of them be cock a lot, see them and they nodding back. Matching if I had a map, know what I would do to all. So on the clock, I'll be bringing back the hologram. Hit them up, long distance, no calling card. Looking when I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me cause I'm back from the middle part. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treat it like an acrobat, flipping and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they cheat, all they do is rap beat. Talking all that shit have been on Snap DVD. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. No matter who, when, where, never. Are you done?
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I like to, when it comes to problem solving, administrative type shit where you have to like report it to somebody else to deal with. Like if somebody throws blood in my face, there's only so many options, right? I could tell them what happened, what I want them to do. I want the video to be collected. What they do is up to them, the police in that case. What am I going to do? What I like to do is my problem has to do with my health and these paint fumes. The ventilation has to do with my health and the bad air, as well as the fire risk. But I know me, I would shut that window, turn off that fan, and block the door. And I don't think I'll get exposed to much smoke. And I don't know how long I could last in here. But I think the fire will burn down the concrete before I run out of oxygen in here. The outside of the building covered in cladding that's flammable. Right, the ventilation's off. The garbage chute runs into the parking garage directly, which you wouldn't do in a modern building, because the car exhaust can float up. So carbon monoxide should set this, if everything's the same temperature, if I understand correctly, will settle low. That's why your CO detector on the ceiling is no good. The hot car exhaust, or if the wind is blowing from certain directions, will push that up. It'll rise. Even though it's monoxide. Yeah, I've had days where I can smell it throughout the building. Everything you can see, they make it look like it works. Everything you can't see right in front of you, they try to hide it. The fans in each elevator car are running, but the air is dead because the whole elevator shaft isn't being ventilated. It's the same air being cycled over and over and over. And the elevator shaft goes to every floor and the basement, the 3 levels with the parking garage. Yeah, it connects to the parking garage too. So when they found out people were living above an auto body shop, and apparently that's completely illegal, I never thought about it. I never looked it up. I never thought about it. I never thought to consider, is that somebody's house? When I looked up and saw windows, I've seen all sorts of types of buildings in this city. They may have originally been conceived as an apartment. They might be using it as a storage or an office. It might be empty. As soon as they found out there was 4 people there, like a single mother, you all have to get out. Hold on a second. Can't you shut down that business temporarily and then find these people housing, especially considering the health crisis? Okay, because even a conventional eviction, in theory, the theory is once the apartment's empty, they can rent it to somebody else. That chain is all broken right now. In this place, they can't rent it out to nobody else, so they're dumping people into the system and taking units off the market. The owner of the place, because the level of enforcement they'll get will be the landlord-tenant board, gave them a bunch of money. And it's Brad J. Lamb Realty is what they said. I think it was they gave them back the rent for the time or whatever. Enough money that he's covered at the landlord and tenant board. And I guarantee he'll never pay a fine or anything for renting people apartments and them not realizing. Would you think about it? Oh, there's an apartment above. Would you think about the fact that it's illegal to have an apartment above a garage? Check your local codes. It might not even be illegal. People might never have thought of it because nobody's dumb enough to do it or something. The carbon monoxide detectors were too high up in the units to go off properly, the ones that the owner put in. One of the tenants had their own detector, most likely, that plug it in the wall outlet that's most likely close to the floor. It's interesting how they standardize things. I don't know for sure. I'm presuming from what they told us on the different articles I read on the radio. So because this person called the fire department for CO, they're now homeless because they spent money on their own detector. But see, as long as the landlord said, well, I got receipts for CO detectors, that clears you at the board. What use is it? You're killing people. I've seen so many people get dragged out of here, and I know some of them wouldn't have died if they had proper air. And some of them wouldn't have got. A lot of people just walking through the building, they're trying to mind their own business and not get jumped by junkies. They get on the elevator, some old person with a walker, and 3 fucking junkies get on with them, hacking, coughing, and spitting, and they're lifting they're like, it's like they're trying to blow droplets at each other. The other day, one of the idiots around here is the first thing in the morning standing directly in front of the doors of the grocery store with a fucking harmonica, and he's got the neck stand thing, so it's pointing directly out. He's the same height. He's about the same height as me, or a bit lower. So he's blowing directly out at everybody's eyes and nose. And these people think it's appropriate to do shit like this. How fucking ridiculous is that? He never stood on that corner or played the harmonica in front of me ever before. Because it's not like he does this every day and doesn't realize it's a bad idea. This is the shit people come up with. By the time I came back, it wasn't when I'm supposed to say something. It's his fucking problem. Is that store's problem? Is those people that walk by and don't say something's problem? It's not my problem. I walked behind him. But these droplets travel 100 fucking feet, 30 meters. They've been telling us. So it don't matter if he's doing that there or on a balcony here, or if I'm 50 feet behind somebody walking up the street and the wind's going the wrong way. But I'm supposed to get upset because some of the blabber I hear as I walk by, people will say things and they won't say it right at you. So in a way, they're like, oh, they're so stupid. They don't know. We're talking about one of the dead people. So one of the random things they would scream out, but they were always looking at somebody else when they said it, when I would walk by, was how could you be a germaphobe and live at, and they said 1011 Lansdowne, but this building. How could you be a germaphobe, live here? But are they looking at me, asking me? No, they just start yelling it when I walk by. It's like, well, you're dead. So I think I won that argument. I think enjoying the fact they died so much as this person tried attacking me physically repeatedly. And I still don't know this person's government name. I don't know where they claimed an address or anything. I don't know who the fuck this person is. When they started with me, at one point, I said, I don't know who the fuck you are. Who the fuck are you? The name they gave me was their nickname, but they said original, insert nickname. That's not a nickname. Or that's not a name. It's too common. They're not the original of anything.
Didn't materialize in the budget in any meaningful way. So I think there's going to be
something pretty selfless about doing this, because there's not any financial gain in Canada. So what kind of person becomes a surrogate? Is that sort of a common denominator?
So it's interesting. Many women who come to us, or all women who come to us, come really with their own sort of idea. They either love pregnancy and they just want to be pregnant again, but they already have a house full, or they have a brother who is in a same-sex relationship but not ready to to have a family yet, but they were inspired by the love that they saw in their relationship.
What? Wait.
Or
their brother is in the same sex. How does that
relate? Really want to give a child, a home and welcoming that they maybe didn't have in their own childhood.
They were inspired by their.
Very individual. But I will tell you, as a surrogate, it was as rewarding for me personally as I believe it was for the people who became parents right in front of my eyes.
In all the videos you see as the surrogate is giving birth, I mean, it's a very emotional thing that you've been carrying a baby for 9 months.
Right.
Is it difficult to let go of this baby? I know everyone's trained and you have the psychosocial training and you know that it's going to happen, but is it a difficult thing to actually let go of something that you've become so a part of?
The industry will tell you that it isn't. I will tell you that it is. And it's important that it is, because if we didn't believe that it was difficult, we wouldn't put in all of the psychosocial assessment in the beginning. Counseling through our agency is free and, ongoing, and, support is provided. And it's provided because we get how hard it can be at the end. Yes, you've given these people a baby and it's amazing and beautiful. But the hormonal shifts of, hey, I need to feed this baby. Oh, there's no baby there to feed. How do we reconcile
and you can
that?
sell that.
A minute for our body.
You can sell breast milk. That's legal.
What our mind might already know.
I want to go back.
And if not, you can rent out breast pumps. There's a way to make money at this.
You've planned these wonderful retreats that were almost like spa weekends with mindfulness and meditation, all the stuff this show loves. I'm so finding it blessed. We got a real connection there. And now you're doing it all online.
Yes.
How do these retreats, if you will, help surrogates along their journey, and how is it working online?
Absolutely. So the cornerstone of our retreat are the process of fear release, letting go of our worries and anxieties and past issues and current sort of pregnancy concerns, and then coming together in sisterhood and setting intentions for the rest of our pregnancies, or the rest of our lives this year, whatever that looks like. Really deeply committing to the woman across from you, and recognizing yourself in her, because a shared experience is so unique and so deep. And as we sit with women, as we cry and laugh and care for one another, the journey becomes less about these people we're helping become parents and more about this sisterhood, this community, this honoring of women, which has been lost generation to generation. The most meaningful moment I have in any business that I run is at retreats, when I'm able to wash women's feet. It is the most beautiful thing I could ever do. And I run a business and I'm a business person, but you get me in front of a woman who is just open to allowing us to love her and appreciate her for this beautiful gift that she's giving, which is hope. It's not a baby. The gift is not a baby, because that's not guaranteed. But the hope that she is giving people, the hope that she is giving right now during COVID, we have people lining up to be surrogates because they want to give hope to a broken world. They want to give people something to look forward to. And it's so inspiring. It is just everything. It really is just everything.
I really see, Leah, that you love what you do and that your heart is so in it. Can you tell me about the tears when you talked about the feet? What does that mean for you?
It is. It's never lost on me that I have a business that is based on a woman giving of herself. And in the media, it can be confused. In the world, it can be confused. In the political arena, it can be confused. And one thing I know for sure is that the women who participate in surrogacy are participating freely, and of their own will and for their own intentions. And it is sad for me when surrogacy is looked at as a means to an end for anyone, or when it is viewed as, the commodification of children or women, or, that we are taking advantage somehow of women. When we look at who surrogates are, they are law clerks, dental hygienists, stay-at-home moms, they are African American, they are Hispanic, they are Caucasian, they are every woman who has had children. And I will say, Dr. Liebrecht and I are the only two people in this industry who have made a hard line. We will only transfer one embryo because it's safest. We will only work with women as surrogates who have had children, because we want to ensure that women know what it is they are entering into in terms of pregnancy and childbirth, and that is the way that we can care for women, is by putting these safety measures in place to really support them, and to have intended parents or prospective parents know that, we will keep their surrogate safe and their baby safe.
That's so incredible. I want to ask you, how does somebody sign up, Leah, to become a surrogate? Just briefly, how do you do it?
Absolutely. So women reach out to us through our website, and they have an interview with one of our intake team. We then we get a bunch of of their history. Have they had children? How has that been for them? Where do they live? How do they live? And then we ask them to complete a psychosocial assessment, which isn't a pass-fail. It's really just about ensuring that we can provide the support necessary to this woman throughout the process. We then have the surrogate complete a criminal record check. We want to ensure that anyone that applies is able to participate, and that there are no barriers to them moving forward as a surrogate. And so they go through that process, and then they end up with intent, or we help them find intended parents through our program that meet their key criteria, their values. We call them immovable values. Does the surrogate share the same views on termination if a medical abnormality occurs during the pregnancy? What type of contact does the surrogate expect during the journey and post-birth, if any? How is the surrogate going to be cared for during her pregnancy? Will she have a midwife practitioner or an obstetrician managing care, to ensure that ahead of time the surrogate has had the opportunity to think of these issues? The intended parents go through a similar process, so that when they do meet, it is based on a shared connection and these shared values that we call immovable values, that are just so important that we pair correctly.
To surrogates in Canada, I know it's very different in Canada, and my understanding is that it's just they're expensive.
I know it looks like it should dread, but it won't.
The payment for a surrogate.
Absolutely. So surrogates in Canada are not paid a compensation. However, they are reimbursed for their expenses throughout the pregnancy. So their mileage to and from appointments, their groceries, a portion of their cell phone and internet. We want to make sure that everything is covered for them. It is non-taxable, so the money they receive goes, directly into their pocket. And when we talk to surrogates about
goes right out of their pocket
motivation, in Canada it looks different than in the U.S. It really is about a social motivation, and really
because we don't sell body parts.
Become parents.
I understand, Leah, that you sometimes even have attended the birth to support the surrogate and the attended parents. Can you just paint us briefly a picture of what that's like being there?
The life expectancy keeps getting longer as I get older.
One of the best. I always say everything's the best.
Now for all the cosmetic things, it doesn't matter if I'm ugly or I look old or anything anymore.
In front of your eyes, and my favorite moment
I look like a surgeon if I put on the other type of mask.
And really expensive shoes, and I said, "Hey guys, what are you doing? You look a little overdressed." And they said, "We want our daughter to see us at our best."
Why do you have a paper mask? You can't. It's not the right.
And the surrogate's water broke. The shoes were ruined. He ended up in bare feet, and it was amazing. And it is. Every birth is so, beautiful and intimate in its own way, and hospitals across Canada do an amazing job at, including intended parents in the birth. The birth plan is created through our agency with intended parent and surrogate collaboration, so that once the baby is born, the intended parents have a plan around how are they going to feed their baby. Will the surrogate pump? Will they be feeding their child formula? Where will everybody be sleeping? What is that going to look like? And the hospitals do a great job, as do the lawyers who get all of the information on the birth to the hospital ahead of time. It's really great.
It's so fascinating, and I can't wait to continue the conversation. But we have to go to a short commercial break. More with Finding Your Bliss. We'll hear more from Leah Swanberg and Dr. Clifford Liebrack when we come back. Back in a moment.
Finding Your Bliss is brought to you by Create, Canada's leading fertility center for over 25 years.
Create is here for anyone struggling with infertility or in need of assisted reproductive technology to have children. Create is about cutting-edge science from highly skilled doctors. In unprecedented times like these, Create is about ensuring the safety of all patients and staff. Create has made important changes to protect you by ensuring social distancing, wearing masks, as well as screening before entering. So what about the bundle of joy that you've been hoping would come into your family? Create Fertility Center is here for you. Visit createivf.com to keep up with the latest changes and learn about Create Fertility Center's comprehensive care for every fertility journey. Keep safe and healthy during these challenging days, remembering that life is about moments that we create together.
We are back, and this is Finding Your Bliss on Zoomer Radio, AM 740, FM 96.7, and we're joined now by reproductive endocrinologist Dr. Clifford Liebrack and surrogacy consultant Leah Swanberg, who I also want to call like a fairy godmother of sorts, because that's kind of what you do. I know there's many happy examples of families being created using surrogacy, people who really found their bliss. And here's a clip of Heather, who's been a surrogate many times, and in it she describes why she loves to do it. Let's roll that clip.
I'm helping somebody in a way that they can't help themselves, and it just feels like I'm doing something that matters. A lot of people like to say, well, I could never do it, but it's amazing what you're doing. Probably be a surrogate 3-4 times, depending how my body does. As long as it reacts well, why not keep doing it?
Wow. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I'm going to ask you this, Dr. Liebrack. There does seem to be so much altruism surrounding surrogacy. Can you speak to the altruism inherent in surrogacy?
You know, I just find it amazing as people I ask them, why do you want to do this? And I always call them heroes, because I really think they are. They're amazing people that want to help someone else achieve their dream of having a child. And they do it just for, expense reimbursement in Canada. Of course, we don't want it to cost them money to do it. As they were saying, we want their expenses reimbursed. But they're doing it because they feel that this is something that they've always thought about doing. Maybe they had a family member that had trouble having a baby, so they wanted to give back and do that for somebody else. They often say they love being pregnant, as Leah said before. I have no way to relate to that, obviously, but it's something that many women feel. And I just think that they just have such tremendous